People think YouTube is easy. Just you wait until you press that on button and nothing's working. The camera's just sitting and chilling there. That's when you know you're YouTubing for real. And then you have to go on and yap for the entire while, when actually nothing is recorded. Alright, welcome back to the channel, folks. It's Avi here. And right now, at this very second, I want us to talk about something very, very interesting. Interplanetary travel. That's right, interplanetary travel. That means Earth to Earth pinpoint traveling, essentially. Now, there are different ways you could approach this problem. One is the SpaceX / Elon Musk kind of approach, which is sort of this. Okay, now assuming that you watched the video and you were a little bit inspired, let's dive right into it. So, let me introduce this kind of craft first. That rocket that you saw, its name is Starship. It's one of these Starship serial, it's part of the Starship family. SpaceX is the company responsible for the developments of the aircraft that you just saw. Pardon me, the spacecraft you just saw. Now, this is supposed to transport human beings from one city on a different country to the next city on another location in the world, or at a different country. This is very hard to do because SpaceX has been failing again and again with their Starship spacecraft tests, or the altitude tests rather, right? So right now, look, the hardest part of rocket design, I think for me, is the takeoff and the landing stages. Those are really crucial. And the airborne phase, maybe not so much, but all the Starship test flights, altitude test flights, essentially went RUD. I would tag their last test, which was the SN10, or the Starship serial number 10 test flight series, as something of a success to me, because they managed to do all what the spacecraft was supposed to do, right? They achieved all the requirements, essentially, right? All right, so obviously interplanetary travel requires for there to be a human being, right, in the process involved. We look at that and we go, who's gonna go first, people? Who's gonna go first? Okay, obviously the brave folks. There are brave people out there who are gonna go, whatever, Elon, I've seen you land this thing. I don't care. I think 8 minutes is enough for me to jump off. If you don't get that joke. So the previous flight, the SN10, it landed. As I said again, it was a success because they performed the altitude test. It went down in a spin, down a horizontal drop, and it managed to again tilt itself down to land with just one engine, because you don't need that much thrust or that much negative thrust when you're landing. You just need one engine running. By the way, these Starship rockets work on Raptor engines. Sorry, they're powered by 3 Raptor engines, which on takeoff go on full throttle, full mode until a certain altitude is reached, and then they all switch off, and then they use the control. They use the sort of like the little tiny wings that you see, which I would refer to them as control surfaces. Those are control surfaces, and this is a control surface. Essentially, the entire flight test here revolves around those control surfaces, the engines, the aerodynamics. Well, not so much the aerodynamics, but it's to do with structures, flight dynamics, as well as propulsion systems. So if you can get those 3 things right, which I think SpaceX has pretty much ticked off the first 2, structures and flight dynamics, which has to do with the control and the stability, the attitude and stability control of the rocket, which they've done excellently, in my opinion. They've really demonstrated that they could do that at a high level and at a low level. So right now, it seems their propulsion systems guys are maybe lacking here. I don't know, but it seems they always blow up their engines. They always blow up their rockets at the end of each test, and I think that's attributed again to their propulsion systems, which are really failing them. I don't know whether they're supposed. I mean, they should be using one engine for landing, but I'm not sure whether the issue is the one engine that's failing, or if it's some methane leakages going on the structure. If it's, I don't know, maybe some cracking on the structure during landing. Maybe I don't know. There are a lot of factors to consider here, and SpaceX is working on researching these pressure points and seeing what their weak points are to better get the next Starship test going. And by the way, that could be this week or sometime next week. Yeah, Elon Musk is a very ambitious dude, okay? Actually, the purpose of this video was to basically debunk exactly what the kind of rocket you'll be perhaps using in the future, and sort of like debunk some of its flaws at the moment. Of course, it's going to be not entirely flawless in the future. It will have some flaws, but they will be bearable. They'll be bearable to a point where they can manage not killing people, right? So planetary travel idea could possibly get you around the world in less than 1 hour, anywhere around the world. You can take off anywhere, land anywhere in less than 1 hour. Most of the flights are less than 1 hour. Some 30 minutes longer, some are 20 minutes long, some are 30 minutes long, some are 25 minutes long, some are 20 minutes long, depending on where you're going. So there are a lot of exciting things about interplanetary travel that get me particularly excited. Will SpaceX or Elon Musk have some competitors in the future regarding interplanetary travel or Earth-to-Earth travel? But before I address that, Starship is actually meant for transporting human beings from Earth to Mars. But the interplanetary travel is something that they can also do at SpaceX. We've seen them land their Falcon Heavy boosters in such a magnificently spectacular way. If you guys want to see the link to that video, find it on the description down below. You, as a daily person watching this, you might be flying in those Starship spacecraft in the future, so you might want to know a little bit about them, why they're failing now, what fixes they're applying, and so forth. And the entire goal of the Starship spacecraft is to get you down to Mars, say, give or take, in the next 20 years. That's saying a lot, I know. You're probably thinking, what, 20 years? Have you seen their latest flight tests? Now, the thing is, again, I addressed something here earlier, which was competitors in the future. I think SpaceX will have some competitors. One of them is called Hyperloop, and the other is simply called electric aircraft. Bear with me. I think this is going to be competition to some degree. I can't think of anything in that realm that can compete with SpaceX at the moment. I mean, Hyperloops, it would take you pretty long for you to build up all of those chambers, those vacuum chambers. and then get like the cost of that would be like, it would be astronomically higher than just you know building a Starship airplane and flying around the world, than you just building a stack of different vacuum chambers from one country to the next, or connecting different countries, and just have these vacuum chambers that can be seen from space or something like that. That would be just super weird. Just the cost of that would just be super high. The infrastructure would be ridiculously expensive, and so in my opinion, that's not going to happen anytime soon. But I think there is one guy who could possibly challenge Elon Musk at the current moment, and that's Jeff Bezos. He could easily get into some interplanetary traveling things as well, and be like, hey, let's build a rocket that's going to do sort of what, you know, Starship is doing, but at a different scale, at a different level, perhaps. I don't know. But I think Blue Origin could possibly pull this off. I do believe that. Concerning city-to-city traveling, though, city-to-city traveling, definitely Hyperloop. This thing right here will definitely smoke future traveling competition. But not so fast, AV. Hold it right there. There's something else. Electric aircraft. And I think it will boil down to something. In fact, it will boil down to you as a customer on your preferences. Like with Hyperloops, there are a lot of factors to consider. First of all, this is a vacuum. You got to put people in a can that's moving in a vacuum, and in that can, it has to be pressurized. It has to allow for breathable. Like, you have to have conducive life support systems within that can that's traveling in a vacuum at hypersonic speeds, I'm assuming, or supersonic speeds, right? That's the whole idea behind having Hyperloops. Electric aircraft, it's possible to get supersonic electric aircraft in the future. These might just be at a premium level, though, which I think the target market will be mostly tycoons, rich folks, you know, wealthy guys. But nonetheless, they will be there. They will exist. Watch out for those. That's city-to-city traveling. Maybe country to country as well, because some people maybe won't just be as comfortable as pulling up 5Gs going up into the air on a Starship spacecraft. Or maybe they might just not be comfortable with the idea that they have to share. I don't know how they're going to organize seats within the Starship airplane. Maybe they're going to try to incorporate some of the well-known standardized classes of traveling on modern airlines, from modern airlines, and adopt that onto Starship. That might happen. It might not happen. We don't know. This kind of like wraps the video up. Yeah, look, if you are new here, you like the content, you like how this thing is going, okay, between the 2 of us, or the 3 of us, or the 10 of us. All right, thank you. Subscribe, like the video, spread love, okay?
Feel it's hopeless when you think that you lost.